different size economies, so the numbers may not apply to you, but just to put some of this in context. We had 20 different federal agencies that had some piece of financial education. I was it's a good phrase to use here, I'm of the Big Tent school. That is, it's better to have more people in than not. So if somebody thought they did something in financial education that might not meet the strict definition, bring them in, that's fine. So there are 20 federal agencies that do something, be it a website or an on-the-ground program in financial literacy. They were part of the collaboration process. In fact, there was a law called the FACT Act in the US, which named 20 agencies. Non-government collaborators, we had 50 different organizations and 10 individuals who got involved. It took us 23 months to do this, so as I said, farmer planting seeds, in fact longer than a farmer planting seeds, because it went 2 years. Written public comments. I'm sure you have something in your regulatory structure that lets you get comments from organizations or individuals. We issued something in the public that said, invited the public to say, please write us your comments. What do you think should be in this? And that did two things. One, it gave us the wisdom that they were imparting to us. We read their comments, of course, 158 that we got. But it also gave us kind of a guest list, people to talk to, people to follow up with throughout the process. These people had cared enough to put pen to paper and write some comments, so they identified themselves as potential allies. And so again, to make the drop of water have more ripples. It was a long document, 139 pages. It covered 13 different subject areas. And we had calls to action. Those were our commitments. We will do X on this date. Again, that's dangerous because if you set up how you can succeed, you also set up how you can fail. But I would offer that it's better than not putting a marker down. We took 5 tactics and 1 strategy, and 1 was more than enough. Very quickly, you can just kind of let these wash over you. I won't read them over. These are all the different chapters we had, and you can see that there's certain things that apply. Taxpayer rights, that was just our way of saying public benefits, things that people have a right to, but if you don't educate them, they don't know they have that right. There are many programs in the U.S. System that give those who are poor certain benefits, certain rights. Sometimes they don't make use of them because the public is simply not aware of it, and so they're not being helped. Investor protection, research is important. We have academic institutions that got involved because some of these things we're not sure about. We need some empirical data, international perspective, etc. You can just read through these. I'm not going to go through all. These are just a number of the things that flowed from the national strategy. Everything from a survey of adults, and these are occurring. We just fielded the second, and the U.S. government just fielded the second one of these with the help of an organization called FINRA. A benchmark study and then a follow-up. Technical assistance. It was an international conference coordinating with OECD and OAS. You can see a number of the other. We had a President's Advisory Council that brought in citizens. A web-based youth competition, so we had students in schools compete via the web for prizes to show their financial education knowledge. That was good because I got the students involved, but it also generated some media. Eventually we need to get the public excited about this. Consumer workshops happened, not dissimilar from the fair that you all are having. So those are our 3 issues. And so I hope that was of some value to you. Basically, that you need to understand that people are not necessarily going to agree with you. Just because it's a good idea doesn't mean people will be on board. So you are the influencers, you are the cutting edge, or sometimes the bleeding edge, because you'll get the pushback about financial education. So you need to see yourself as a champion and focus on some of the principles that were discussed. And then look not just to the U.S., but to a number of other countries, multilateral organizations, CARTAC, OECD, others, to bring in the expertise that can help you avoid the pitfalls that other countries have faced and share in some of the successes they've had. So with that, I wish you luck, and thank you again for your time and attention.
I think we have 5 minutes for questions and answers. Questions.
As I like to, is this on?
Yeah.
As I like to say, I will be happy to accept all of your easy questions.
This one is really easy. I just had a the signal strategy about what was about consumers, right? And for people to understand. And it seems to me that maybe one of the first areas you need to focus on is for the people who are selling the products to be educated about them, because in 2008, for example, in the US, it was the people who were selling these CDOs who didn't understand them, so the consumer got the information or the misinformation that they had, so at least they guard against that.
It is. Thank you. I'm sorry, and you were?
Dennis John.
And you're with?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's correct. So hopefully everyone heard the question. And this is not to take sellers off the hook. We worked with a lot of financial institutions when I was at Treasury. Now I'm a consultant. They are clients right along with government. A few things. They have an interest, they have an immediate interest in making the customer say yes. They have a longer term interest, and a lot of them, and some of them, do not see, of having the customer be educated. One of the bigger issues we have is, say a financial institution does want to educate a consumer. A savvy consumer is going to take that, and this is a phrase that you use, with a grain of salt. That is, anything with a logo from a financial institution will be treated with a little more caution than something with a logo from, for instance, JDIC. One they trust, the other they wouldn't be sure about. And that's a challenge for us now, because we do produce materials that are very sound and do not sell and do not market for financial institutions. They want to put the money behind it, but of course they need their logo on there so they get credit. So there's a question of how well placed are they to do it. I think they can. I think it's necessary. I don't think it's sufficient. So financial institutions need to be engaged. Sometimes they can be engaged to write a nice check for an NGO, which is pure, which has no selling interest, to then go forward and help a particular community. That's a good model. So if they can give money, and then when I was at Treasury, I would make a point to give them all the media they wanted for that. So it's one thing if they do something, it's another thing for them to get applause in doing that. So I would embrace, I helped Citi, for instance, years ago, launch a large multi-million-dollar commitment to NGOs worldwide, because that's the kind of thing we want to see replicated. Every dollar that they give an NGO is one less the government has to try to find to get that NGO. So I think they have that responsibility in a philosophical sense. How it plays out is something that needs a few of these wrinkles that I talked about. And then ultimately, there's one thing that I don't know that we give consumers the power that they have. The strongest power a consumer has is the ability to say no, to walk away. And that was true in the US. Of course, they were marketed heavily, but some people did say no to that mortgage they couldn't afford. And they're better off now because of it. So having a consumer that's empowered really changes the dynamic. It changes it from making it a financial institution versus a consumer to a different one where the consumer now has the knowledge and the financial institutions are competing against each other. I love changing that balance of power, and when you see a consumer that goes from being kind of on the end of the leash to holding a leash, it's very exciting. So it's not to take financial institutions off the hook. Sometimes financial institutions can benefit from people's ignorance. Hopefully the reputable players don't want to make money that way because for a lot of reasons. But the consumer needs the ability, if nothing else, to say no, or to give that pause, to go find a counselor or a friend and to go away. Anyone who tells you, as I usually say in the media, anyone who tells you this deal is only available today, walk away, because that's not a good sign. But thanks.
One other question. Alex, from JDIC.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The chairman of the board of the JDIC, Mr. Peter Thomas, other board members present, our CEO, Ms. Antoinette McCain, our keynote speaker, Mr. Dan Iannicola, distinguished guests, all, as we have heard already from our CEO. Each of you is a distinguished guest today. My colleagues, good afternoon all. Indeed, this was a very informative and enlightening session, so it gives me great pleasure in saying thanks to all who played a role in making this pre-symposium luncheon a success. We thank the staff of the Spanish Court Hotel for the lovely accommodation and the wonderful meal, which opened our appetites for the main course that was so ably prepared and served by Mr. Iannicola. Thank you. I am sure all present would join me in thanking Mr. Iannicola for his presentation. Your presentation today, sir, has laid the foundation for the JDIC and partners to commence our Financial Markets Symposium and Fair. And we say, what a great way to start. You have also given us a lot of food for thought, and I'm sure we will all leave here convinced that the time has come to expedite the development of a national financial literacy program and improve the overall level of financial literacy in Jamaica land we love. We are happy that all of us here today are champions for the real change which you described to begin, and that we can come up with a workable plan to catch up, given that we don't have to learn from our own mistakes. We will therefore continue to make the case for improved financial education and follow the 5 principles indicated for an action-oriented strategy design despite the challenges that we now face. So, to you, the audience, you were specifically chosen today to share this lunch hour with us, given your various positions in the public sector and the private sector. And we are happy that you could take the time out of your busy schedule to be with us today for the commencement of our 3-day event, the Financial Markets Symposium and Fair. We look forward to your continued support for the next 3 days at the Bank of Jamaica tomorrow, the Financial Markets Symposium, and at the St. William Grant Park on Friday and Saturday, as we continue to advance our focus on promoting financial inclusion through public education and awareness. I thank you.
Okay, then, take care.